Hello everyone, welcome back to the Kirklees Guitar School Podcast, episode 6. I'm joined with my co-host, Mr. George Loveridge. How you doing, George?
Easy for you to say, isn't it?
It is. It gets harder every time, every time I say it.
But yeah, I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. This week been a rock or a roll?
No reason to rock, no reason to roll.
Yeah. Just
steady away, teaching, band stuff, own projects, that sort of thing.
Right.
Still in the summer holidays, so not a lot. Wheels are moving, but we're in.
There's 2 weeks left of the summer. How the hell did that happen?
Excuse me.
Exactly.
Yeah. Watch your mouth, young man.
I was going to do so much, and I've done none of it.
Yeah, I've painted some bumper parts for
you've
my
been
old
working
Herald.
on your Herald, haven't you? Yeah.
But yeah, it's like come in, teach a few lessons, and go home, eat, sleep, rave, repeat without the rave. Yeah. So are you rocking or rolling?
This week's been a rock.
Okay,
so
good.
In episode 4, we were talking about. I said that I've got an influx of gigs, particularly theatre gigs, Northern Live, among some other stuff that I've got bubbling up, but where enough work for me to justify switching things up a little bit and potentially investing in some new stuff so that I can keep up with the other people that would do the job if I weren't doing it. So I bought a quad Cortex.
That was your one to the week 2 weeks ago.
It was, and I was like, it got to Sunday night that week. Everybody went to bed.
Didn't take long.
No, well, I was just thinking about it. Everybody went to bed, and
You
I was just
opened your
like-
laptop, drew the curtains.
and I just thought, I'm just going to have a look. And I'm watching some reviews on YouTube, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to do it, and if it's crap, I'll send it back. So
that needs to go on the bingo sheet.
it took it does. So it took a while to come, and some of you might have seen on my Facebook, on the Facebook group, I didn't tell my wife that I'd bought it.
Bear in mind, you just bought a new Les Paul.
Yes. DPD shows up while I'm doing my dad jobs the following Sunday, and he pulls out a box that says Andertons in capital letters and dumps it on the doorstep.
Brand everything.
How am I going to get out of this one? Anyway, it was
They
all
don't
cool.
make prams, do they? Do
No,
Andertons?
no, they don't. So anyway, I could have very, 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 very quickly opened the Land Rover and thrown it in the back of it, but I didn't fancy leaving a quad Cortex in the back of there all day.
Yes.
But anyway, it's all cool. Like it's all said in jest. She's cool. She's cool about it. But it was one of those. It's like, oh, how am I going to explain that? And it sounds like a couple of the gents on the Facebook group have had similar experiences buying katanas over the past couple of weeks.
We've sold a lot of katanas. Boss.
I genuinely think we need to revise our sponsorship with Boss because they've sold a lot of amplifiers because of us.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below if you bought one of those on our recommendation.
Mark bought a bass katana.
I'd
Our
love to try one of those.
He's going to bring it for our lesson. He wants me to dial it in for him a little
All right,
bit.
okay.
I say like a pro luthier or anything, but yeah, hopefully dial some good tones in for him.
Let me know how that goes. So yeah, it's been a really good week. I've been messing about with that, and it's going to be really, really useful not only for on the stage, but actually I think the quality of my lessons that I put on YouTube are going to be a lot better as a result of it because it sounds incredible. We haven't actually been together while I've had it out, but
No.
I know that when that inevitably does happen, we're probably going to lose an hour, so get ready for that.
That'll be fun.
So what's on the agenda for today?
Before we do anything else, a quick reminder from me. We're going live Saturday the 8th of November at Denbydale Pie Hall. We all have 100 tickets for a live show, live audience. Grab your tickets from the link below. Okay, this week we're going neck deep. We're looking at Barre Chords. That's the aim of the game for today, folks. Barre Chords. The technical focus looks at E and A shape Barre Chords. We have 2 strings where we make the Barre Chords, E and A shapes. We're going to look at those. Tone talk, we're looking at major versus minor. All it takes is one finger to completely change the chord. Then they look hard, but stick with us. It's not so bad. We then got Pick Our Brains. We've got a question from one of my students from a lesson. So we'll look into that, of course, finishing with the jam.
Excellent. Right, okay. So the crib sheet says, how, what, where, when, not as hard as people make out. That's a very bold statement, George. Would you care to elaborate for me?
Okay. So guitar players, we've said before, and you've said it, we don't do F, we don't do B flat. That's the general consensus, because you look at the shape and go, it needs more than 2 or 3 fingers. Stick with it. We've been saying recently, if you just dull things down and stick with it, it's amazing the progress you make. I teach a lorry driver, Andy, I know he watches every now and again. I showed him the whole metronome thing, spider exercise, 50 BPM. He's like, yeah, whatever, kid. He's come back next week and he can play at 100 BPM so much smoother. So stick with it, slow it down. So what have I written? How, what, where, when, not as hard as they make out. How? We're going to show you the shapes. Realistically, we're going to go through 4 shapes today.
Two major, 2 minor.
2 major, 2 minor across 2 strings. Hey, quick maths, there we go. When you see a B flat or a C sharp minor, you don't have to close your laptop lid. You can carry on playing. It's not that bad. And again, not as hard as people make out. I think when I teach barre chords to students, it's a thing. There's 2 levels of difficulty with it. Is it you're struggling to make the shape physically, or you're struggling to remember the shape? That's it. I think people are in both boats. You're screwed if you're in both at the same time. But no, in seriousness, if you can remember the shape, it's going to be easier for you to make it. If it's physically hard to make, it's going to be hard for you to remember it. So should we go over the first shape?
Absolutely, then? Right. So we're going to start with the E shapes. Right, okay.
What does that mean then?
So this, I feel like, I just want to caveat this without going on a major tangent, because we're trying really hard not to go on tangents in Season 2, and I feel like as it goes on, we're getting slightly better at it. This ties into a concept called the caged system. Now, the caged system can apply to chords and it can apply to scales. We're just going to worry about chords. Now, before you all turn the podcast off and start Googling the caged system and come back to me later on and go, I've been reading about the caged system and I don't understand it. Don't bother. Do not bother. Until you can play these 2 chords, there's no point you going any further down that rabbit hole. The idea of the caged system is that you can spell the word caged with open cowboy chords on the bottom of the neck. The system shows you how to play both major and minor variations of those 5 chords, and then you can move them up the neck using the notes on the fretboard that we talked about in episode 4 to yield more chords. So essentially, each of those 5 shapes will yield 12 new chords. There's only 12 notes in music, but it'll give you 5 different places to play the same chord on the neck.
Yes.
An E shape, what does that mean? Well, if you play an E major shape at the bottom of the neck, if you imagine, let's take that entire shape, we're going to do what I call an elbow transposition.
Oh, okay.
Kick your guitar up a fret with your elbow.
Whoa,
okay?
I bet your kids love that. That's
what
magic.
What I've done there is I've taken that E shape, and instead of pressing the first fret of the G, the second fret of the A, and the second fret of the D, I've moved the whole shape up 1 fret.
Every note.
Every note. Now, what that's done is I'm now pressing the second fret of the G, the second fret of the A, and the second fret of the D. Now, what I'd like to do, it's a shame we don't have one anywhere near, to be honest. I want you to almost imagine now we take a capo and we put a capo on the first fret, which simulates the nut of the guitar. With a capo on the first fret, that's an E chord, isn't it? Mm-hmm. A barre chord, we're trying to create, we need to be our own capo, essentially. So we're going to have a bit of a shuffle around. So we're going to have to use his index finger to bar the first fret in its entirety. We're going to use our second finger to press the second fret of the G. We're going to use our ring finger to press the third fret of the A. And we're going to use our pinky to press the third fret of the D string. Now, that is an F chord. Most of our listeners and our viewers will have seen that already. That is by far the most difficult barre chord that you're going to look at for the first 12 months of studying barre chords under somebody like Kirklees Guitar School. I'm not suggesting you start there. I'm trying to. The nearest chord to an E is an F, and I'm trying to show you an E shape takes that concept. We move it all up a string, up a fret.
Yep.
And then we become his own capo. Now that becomes what we call a movable shape. We can take that. Let's move it up to the third fret. It's still an E-shaped barre chord, but that's now a G. Move it up to the 6th fret. Becomes a B flat chord.
So by learning that one shape, you've learnt 12 chords.
Correct.
Instantly. Oh, by the way, you said the other week 6 times 22. It's 132.
Oh, thanks.
I got the calculator out when I watched the show.
Did you?
Sorry.
Right. Well, thanks for confirming. But what that does is I've taken one shape. Like in the Northern Live gigs, we play a song called Sliced Tomatoes. I absolutely love that song. And it uses like a triplet rhythm on a G, a B flat, and a C chord. Now, I could go... It's the sound, but I actually do it all on one string using all the same shape. Now, what that does is it lets me gives me the opportunity to kind of get a little bit more kind of funky. And all I'm doing is I'm just moving horizontally along
Yes.
the fret along the fretboard. So that's an E-shaped chord. The concept with an A is identical. Could you just run us through
Yes.
that really quickly?
One more thing on your E shapes. What I like to say to people is make an E major chord, but imagine your first finger's been chopped off. You're not allowed to use your first finger because that new shape is quite alien to people. So if you make an E major shape, you can see my first finger's not there. When you slide that across, then that allows you to place your first finger on. So what about the A shape? There's two schools of thought with the A shape and two shapes. We teach a lady who's got some very nice Les Pauls. She plays an A shape differently to how I play the A shape. So, A major then. Same idea. We're on the 2nd fret on D, G, and B. Now, if I move that across, let's go 1 fret again, so that's going to make us a B flat. Again, the hardest place to do it because of the string tension at this position of the neck. If I then, again, remember my first finger doesn't exist, so I need to have my middle finger on D, ring finger on G, and my pinky on B. My first finger now makes this chord where I've got three notes in a line. For me, I find that incredibly difficult.
Likewise.
Yeah. So what I do instead, I take my ring finger, and initially I'm going to make sort of a power chord shape. But then if I this is something we tell you not to do all the time, but we're going to make an exception. We're going to let your ring finger flatten against the fretboard. So I'm now covering D, G, and B. And then we're just not going to pick that high E string. And we've now got that B flat chord. And again, with the E shape, I take this, what looks like an A major chord, up the fretboard. So with James's Sliced Tomatoes, he's going from 3 to 6 to 8 on one shape. That's quite a long way to travel. We're lazy, rule number 1. So if I bring in E and A shapes, I'm within a 3 fret radius of each other.
And you've you'll go on ultimateguitar.com or
Kirklees Guitar School Live.
Yeah, you'll see online.co.uk. Yeah, go over there. And you'll see a chord like B flat and everybody goes, oh no, or E flat or C sharp minor. And it's kind of like, it's one of those two shapes. But going back to episode 4 of learning the notes of the fretboard, if you can learn the notes on the E and the A strings, you unlock 12 new chords. You don't just unlock 12 new chords, you unlock
24 on one string.
24 on one
because you've got a
string.
major and a minor. So that kind of brings us into our... should we go to tone talk? Technical focus. We've done the E and the A shapes, really, haven't we? We've merged them in.
Should we just give them some tips on getting some good
100%.
clean? I think that'd be a really good point to put that in. So if I take the E shape and you take the A shape, so I don't advise anybody start trying to conquer bar chords with the B flat, with the F chord at the bottom of the neck.
That's just the string tension.
Yes, that's the note. What I would do is let's bring that way up the neck, even as high as, let's say, the 5th fret or even the 6th, 7th, 8th frets. We're going to go on the 5th fret. The 5th fret of the low E string is an A note.
That ties in with the fretboard theory. If you get your pen and paper out, you can see the E string. You get to that 5 and it's A.
So I want you to, confusingly, and this is where we've got to be careful, we're using an E shape to create an A chord, and we've got to be careful that definitions, we need to talk about sharps and flats and major and minor, because that's one that gets mixed up later on. You need to be crystal clear on your definitions, okay? We are playing an E shape on the 5th fret of the low E string, which yields an A major chord. Index finger's going to do the bar. You've got your middle finger's going to play the 6th fret of the G, and then your ring and pinkies are going to play the 7th fret of the A and the D string. Now, what I want you to do is, I don't want you to have your thumb over the top of the neck. I want you to be pressing on the just past
behind
where
the
the convex is, behind the dot. That's a really good way to think about it, correct? And I want you to pinch between those two. Now, I want you to pinch between those two without dragging the string out of tune. Because sometimes people will
grab too hard.
We want this, and people will grab too hard and they do this. And it's because they've got it's grabbing hold of it just enough so that you've got the note, but it's also not so hard that you're actually dragging the strings down towards the floor. That's not what we want.
Think of it like a G clamp.
Yes.
In a workshop or something. If you have it too tight, it's going to go through your table. Well, like these microphone clamps do, if you can see them in the shot. But they're clamping down on the table. And it's exactly the same between your thumb and your first finger.
Now, And I think it's a common misconception that you use the bottom of your finger, you know, sort of this part of your finger. I actually use the side of my finger. Now, I won't be able to show you on the podcast, but if you were sat opposite me for a one-to-one lesson, I'll show you. I've actually got a callus on the side of my index finger from playing barre chords. You know, you get calluses on the ends of your fingers. I've got a callus down the side of my finger here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm sort of using the side of my finger as opposed to the bottom, and I'm twisting my wrist ever so slightly to give myself mobility to catch the other strings.
And that's allowed. Like you're saying, how to get a clean chord, you can adjust ever so slightly.
Well, you remember all that time ago playing cowboy chords and trying to get a C chord seemed like the most difficult thing in the world. It still does for some of us listeners, and we'll get there, and that's fine. The process is no different whether it's a barre chord or a power chord or a cowboy chord, or even as you go further into the cage system, you start looking at some really hairy looking ones. There's a C barre chord, believe it or not. That's going to give you nightmares when you finally get there. But use the side of your finger, and you want to practice quality exercises where you strum the chord.
That was my point, yeah.
Them. But then you want to practice quantity as well, where I'd always advise that you learn a couple of these shapes and then you look at a song like Candy by Paolo Nutini is a really good example of this. Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Some sort of really kind of straightforward 4-chord strumming song. Mm-hmm. But instead of doing it with cowboy chords at the bottom of the neck, you do it with barre chords. And that you do that every day until you've got it for between 5 and 10 minutes. Never start your practice session with it. Always play a little bit first, get some blood into the fingers, and then work on it. Have you anything to add to that, George?
Yeah, you mentioned quality over quantity. Your quality, you want to be really strict with yourself and play every note. Now, could you hear one of mine wasn't quite tight then? Now, a lot of times when you make these shapes, when you barre on your first finger, naturally about halfway up your index finger, it's like your finger goes inwards a little bit. And that's where you need to push down a little bit harder. Mm-hmm. A lot of people get that.
Yeah, around the G it sort of comes.
Yeah, around the G string. Don't know why.
Yeah.
Alexis, the physio, you can correct us again. I caught up with, there's a physio who listened to us, a sport physio, and he says, I need to get you two learned on some of the
Absolutely,
anatomy.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
Yeah. So an A shape, we're going to do the same process. Let's again start on the 5th fret. So this is an A shape. I'm going to do what you did. Your country needs you. Mm-hmm. A shape for a D chord.
So we'd count up the A string.
Yep. A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D.
Now, if I were in your shoes and trying to get your fingers round this, sorry to jump in, George. I practice at a desk, and I know some people, quite a few people actually do that. I would draw a diagram on a side of A4 of the notes of the E string, the notes of the A string, and just staple it above your desk, because I've got a bit of a notice thing above my desk and things that I need to remember. So you've got that quick reference to it. That's not cheating. It will eventually go in.
Yeah, use your Bible.
Use your Bible.
I call it a Bible. So get your Bible out, and then people are like, oh, okay, I can find. So it's like a little chart that tells you where.
Yeah.
I used the analogy the other week of your spellings. When you learn your spellings when you're a kid, you need to see the real word first. It's not cheating. Mm-hmm. That's what you learn from.
So, yeah, I think a lot of people think that that's cheating. There's somebody I'm teaching at the minute that is convinced she's not to look at a guitar because she doesn't want to look at a guitar when she's playing.
I have that as well.
And I'm kind of like, yeah, but you need to learn where your finger goes first before you can sort of feel your way. But she's not having it, and we'll get there. It's just she'll concede eventually. Yeah. She won't be the first. She definitely won't be the last to do that. So yeah, sorry, George. A shape chord.
A shape. So again, A shape, D chord. I'm going to start with my root note. We kind of skipped over that. The root is basically where your index finger lands. So on an A shape chord, we don't want the E string. He's not allowed. Bye-bye. I'm then going to make that D chord, which is, that A shape chord for D. Going to cover with my ring finger exclusively D string, G string, B string. Now the high E is kind of missed out here because of the way I'm making this chord. If I do it properly, in inverted commas, can you see me? My hands are tiny really, but I'm struggling to fit all 3 fingers in that fret. That's my quality exercise where I'm picking. See that? My pinky's not fitting in the fret. That's why I'm going to have it flat. That's your Bad Moon Rising. Tangent. But that's how I'm going to make that shape. So we've got your A chord and a D chord.
So that covers the major chords then. How do we make them minor?
Put your middle finger up. That's how bar
like
chords
that.
make me feel.
Yeah?
That's the one. That's the one. How good are your editing skills today? That's what we do. I used to perform in a lot of assemblies in the band I was in at school, at high school, and those had a mate in the audience, and I was making a minor bar chord. I'm just going to play the chord now. And I was sort of exaggerating it a little bit. And one teacher said, "Interesting chord you played there, George." I went, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
15-year-old me thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I thought you were hilarious.
And it still does, I think. So, are you going to take E and I'll take A?
Yeah, okay. So the way to think about it is like I'd like to think if you know an E chord and you know an A chord, you know their
minor counterparts.
Their minor counterparts. Yeah, counterpart was the word I was looking for, George. Thank you for that. So we're essentially going to take that A chord that we played using the E shape, and I'd like you to remove the second finger. Now, the way you should look down at your fretboard and you should see that it looks like an E minor chord and you're pretending that your index finger's the capo. If you had a capo on the 5th fret and you played an E minor chord, that's what it'd look like. So what we're doing there is the difference between a major chord and a minor chord is one note separates it. Sorry to jump in, George. They're only what we call one semitone or one fret apart.
And there's some Doctor Who noises happening. Is your phone on the amp?
No.
Did anyone else hear that?
It was the katana kicking off. No, my phone's on silent. Anyway, it's all live here, folks. BS Bingo again. So it's just one finger. It's just one finger that... there we go, George. Thank you. I might have to lean on you a little bit until the back end of the show. So you've only got one note that is ironically one fret different and one semitone apart. So an A major chord, that note is a C sharp. We turn that C sharp into a C by lifting the finger off, and that gives us what we call a minor third. I'm still working on the theory course that's going to kind of explain all that. If it sounds like gibberish, there's some resources coming that's going to help with that. Could you show us on the A chord?
So before the A, there's more bits on E, I think, that I use for my students, because when I start learn me bar chords, please, Mr. Teacher, it's a month. It's 4 lessons minimum to get the hang of it. When we take that middle finger off, it looks like we're taking it away. Theory-wise, if you want to add a bit of theory in, we're actually swapping that note. We're changing it. We're changing it, as James said, from that C sharp to that D. Is it Space Odyssey? Dum 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 with the big timpani and the. Someone will know.
No, that's. No, it's not. It's not what you think it is.
I think it's C sharp. Anyway. We mentioned earlier about that index finger being a bit weak around the G string. You've now got to have a really solid foundation. And the way I do that, this middle finger's not doing anything anymore. I like to rest it.
Oh, do you really? Right, okay.
Even still, I mean, on acoustic especially, if I was on your
never
jazz
done
master. It depends what I'm playing and for how long.
You play a lot more acoustic guitar live than I do.
Yeah, so I play Hotel California a lot on this guitar. I need some respite sometimes when I'm playing 6 minutes of bar chords.
Are you using 12s on that guitar as well?
Yes, 12s on a short scale. Yeah, I can tell when I've been playing it, put it that way. So let's go for an A minor bar chord shape. That's why we're all here. I think this one's a bit easier than the E shape, believe it or not.
Okay.
We're going to start again. We're going to make an A minor chord, but imagine a regular A minor, not an A minor sus. Imagine your A minor doesn't exist, your first finger doesn't exist on that A minor, and then again, we drag it up. So now, I'm on the 5th fret with my first finger, that's my root note on the A string. E string doesn't exist, we don't want him. There's your quality. Again, I'm still hitting it, I'm 16 years playing. There we go. And that's my D minor. That's where everyone's going to start Sultans of Swing. And that's what everyone over the age of 20 wants to learn on guitar.
Okay. So
by doing that, again, 24 shapes on each string.
Yeah.
Boom. Mind blown.
And I think just before we round off this sort of bar chord section, you aren't going to get this in a matter of weeks, it's months. Yeah, and I think that's what everybody needs. That's the uncomfortable truth that you all need to hear is it's going to take you a long time till you're happy with them. And I feel like people don't practice them anywhere near as much as they should in the early days because they default to what's easy, which is playing the songs in the folder that use a G, a C, and a D.
You have to remember, 2 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago, those open cowboy chords felt the same as how these bar chords feel.
But when you were practicing those chords, you never had a folder full of stuff that you could go play as a distraction.
You had no option
from that. That's it. You either played those chords or you didn't play the guitar. And I just want you to kind of be mindful of that. And it's the whole eating your vegetables thing. Just do a little bit, get it out of the way, and then open your repertoire folder and have a good strum through some stuff you can play. And that's the yin and the yang that sort of separates a beginner guitarist from an intermediate guitar player, and it's managing the repertoire. It's really important.
So I would, to practice this, I would pick a song that has a bar chord here and there initially. Mm-hmm. So B minor, a lot of the time, we take pity on students and we show them B minor like this.
Yeah, the
sort of the inverted, the just three
pinball wizard B minor
staircase. I call it, because everything's diagonally upwards. Yeah. Let's say you've got a song. Well, I do it with the band I used to be in here at the school, Up the Junction. By Squeeze, goes from E to A to E to C sharp minor. Well, just practice that shape.
I think that's my favourite chord, you know.
C sharp minor. C sharp minor 7.
Yeah.
Wicked game in C sharp minor. We've done it before.
Yeah.
And followed by B sus 2, and then can't make that chord.
Anyway, right, getting out in the weeds. So to round today's episode off, we've got a question from one of your students.
Yes, David. I can't remember how this came up. Dave and I are working really hard on the timing, and he's doing really well. Because David's a lot like me. He just wants to sit and go. He just wants to play blues licks. But actually...
Who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. But if you're struggling to keep up with a 4-chord song at 80% speed, you're in trouble.
Yes,
as a player.
I agree.
So, David says, how do you get back on track if you make a mistake or fall out of time whilst playing with music? Now, I describe playing with music as like being on a treadmill. If you fall off, the treadmill's still going. It doesn't care. It goes, you fell off, and it's still going. So how do you get back on track if you miss a note, whether you've just forgotten the riff or you fall out of time? There's many factors that can go wrong. A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, it's your confidence as a player and the confidence in the repertoire that you're playing. If I lose my place, normally within the same bar, I can get myself back in. But that's just because I've done it a lot. Mm-hmm. People who study with me in the guitar groups, say there's 5 guitar players sat in the live room, and 4 of them are thumping away on Harvest Moon, just doing really, really well, and somebody loses the place. It could take up to 8 bars for them to find their way back in. Now, what you've got to do is you've got to first establish, how did the patient die? Where did you fall off the wagon?
Yeah.
And then you need to find a point way further down your sheet where that's where I'm going to come back in. And that's usually the start of a new section.
That's
start
chorus.
of a chorus, start of a verse, something like that. And the more time you spend, don't try and kind of cry over spilt milk and kind of come back in immediately. Stop, take a breath, look at the music, go, right, I'm going to come back in there. Really calm and calculated. You count yourself
Use
back
your
in
sheet.
and you just go for it. That's how I teach people to do it. But it's like a natural urge that students have to, let's play. I've fallen off and I need to come back in straight away.
Don't.
Like, it's fine. The guitar police are not going to come and get you, David. You will be okay. Yeah? Calm as a cucumber. And that's all you need to do. Take your time. There's no immediate rush. Find where you're going to come back in, and you come in on your terms rather than trying to sort of make up for lost time.
Absolutely. I'd say exactly that. That's how I preach it. Don't try and claw it back because it's already gone. Let's say you're doing lead playing, say you're playing Hotel California solo and you miss a bit, just wait till the next memorable section. Like, especially if you're playing live, if you try and catch back up, you're out of time, you're out of sync, it's all a bit messy.
And I think as well, you owe that to your bandmates as well, not to sort of screw it up any more than you've already have. You know, nice and calm, nice and...
Well, can you play me Sultan to Swing? Please. Okay. I'm going to wait for that D chord to come back. Okay. I missed it again.
Now the F's coming.
That's more of a memorable section. But I think if you've got a song, even a 4-chord song, I say to people all the time, it's coming back. It's coming back again. Don't worry. It will keep going round and round.
And initially it will take you. It could take you up to 16 bars to find your place, but the more you exercise that muscle, like anything else with guitar, it will come.
See, at that point, I say if you're practicing, just stop the track and start again. If you're really, because sometimes it just goes to pop. And you are allowed.
I make them sit in it. I make the students sit in it because it's a skill in itself learning how to get back in when you've fallen off as it is playing, and nothing's ever perfect. I did somebody's grade 5 drum exam this week.
Shouldn't the student have done the exam?
You know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Clever clogs.
Yeah.
And she played ace up until the very last chorus of the third piece. You've got to play, for the grades that we do here, you've got to play 3 pieces that are set by the exam board concurrently, and we video it and then send it off for marking. And she got to the very last chorus, played amazing, and then her instant reaction, she screwed up, she stopped, she said, "Can we do that again?" And I'm like, and the camera's been rolling for 15 minutes at this point. We've only got 45 minutes to do the exam. I think it's all the guitarists, I won't, unless they make a catastrophic failure, I'll make them sit in it and I'll make them pick them up because it's a bit of that tough love.
Oh, especially in a live scenario, you've just got to sort of laugh it off and carry on because you're not stopping. There's only once where I wanted to stop a live piece. It was back when I was at high school. We're playing like this Christmas assembly kind of thing. We started the piece in 6/8 and the piano player forgot we're in 6/8. And it was like, oh.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to go, sorry, my bad.
I was really ready to sort of go, can we start that again? Because it had this really nice... It was Dive by Ed Sheeran, but
right.
If I'm doing that, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're going, oh, it was horrible. It was really embarrassing.
So hopefully that answers your question, David. Thank you for taking part.
Have you got some questions for Pick Our Brain? Well, comments for Pick Our Brains.
Yeah. Did you say you had 2?
I
already?
did. Yes, my phone's over there.
Oh, right. Okay.
Sorry,
well, I'll pick a few out.
I've emailed you the screenshots, nonetheless. But...
Have you? Right. Well, we'll go there then. So changing things up again today. Look at that. Right, Chewy. Hi, Chewy. Chewy says, "Is it?"
That's our little theme tune now, apparently.
Is it?
Yeah, I think Chewy. I definitely sent you Chewy's one.
That's
minor swing in G sharp.
Do you know what? It sounded like the you know that from Star Wars where they're in the bar and they all start fighting.
And we've got the Cantina theme. I think it is. I don't know.
Something like that.
Chewy will know.
Chewy,
actually.
yeah, it's Star Wars.
Week,
it's talking about. Let us know. Right, Chewy 8 says, "Isn't a sharp/flat in a bar chord when?" Sorry, this is why you do this because I can't count to 4 or read. Isn't a sharp/flat in bar chords when including the middle finger? That's major and minor what we've spoken about.
Yes, so that's why I wanted to bring it up, and I've actually made a note. Question on EP4, episode 4. So yeah, Chewy, when you're making that chord, if you take your middle finger off, that's your major and minor. And right, okay, so we're going from C sharp to C, but
that doesn't make, like if I do that on the A chord that we spoke about on the 5th fret of the E string, by taking that finger off, it doesn't make it an A sharp or an A flat. I've physically got to move the chord to either fret 6 to sharpen it or fret 4 to flatten it. And that's a really common error that people make where the mistake, what makes it major and minor, what makes it sharp or flat. Major and minor alters one note in the chord to make it sound happy or sad. To sharpen or flatten it, you move all 6 of those notes in either direction.
Yes.
From home. Okay.
What else we got?
Scotsman Down Under, Alistair, and one of his various accounts.
Yes.
That's where all we're getting all the likes from. It must be Alistair. Yeah. I'm here for it, dude. Keep it up. Brilliant podcast this week, guys. Love the fretboard talk and love the Stevie Wonder riff, James. Yeah, we did Master Blaster. Such a great tune. Yep. You make it look so effortless. It's just, I think your attitude to playing guitar, like when you have that confidence, you kind of radiate it. Everybody can kind of tell that you're comfortable, you know?
If you're, especially in a live scenario or if you're filming a video, if you're sat hunched over, I say like a shrimp because that's how I sit when I play guitar. It's kind of telling. If you make a mistake, it's like, yeah, he wasn't in that. But if you're, again, BS bingo. If I start that all happy and I make a mistake, it's like, oh, damn, that's annoying for him. But if you're quivering when you
Yeah.
play it and you make a mistake. It's kind of a given.
And early on in my career, I suffered with stage fright quite a lot. And actually, like I look at those early clips of me playing, and I just looked like I wanted to sort of the floor to swallow me up.
You say that. There's my first proper gig. I think the floor would have swallowed me up because my feet didn't move.
Yeah.
I got on that stage, plugged in, and I was locked in
Yeah.
for the next 10 minutes.
The more you do it, the easier it gets, and you get used to the idea. And Alistair also says his want for the week is a Les Paul Studio. Very good choice. If I was to sort of expand upon that a little bit more, the Les Paul Studios that you can get from the early 90s in the wine red Les Pauls with the gold hardware are excellent, and they're not a lot of money at all. If I was looking for a Les Paul, a Gibson Les Paul on a budget, that's what I would purchase.
I can imagine, Alistair, I don't know, but like say on the Gold Coast, there's some really nice guitar shops. I can just see it. Like some pawn shops in Australia with some mega guitars hanging up. I'm sure you can find something.
Amazing. I'm sure you'll find something. But yeah, you can't go wrong with a Les Paul. They keep finding the way into my life. There's a couple more. I can't pronounce this. I'll put it on the screen. Hey, George, if you think an hour is long away for a concert, then it takes 2.5 hours. It takes me to get good Indian food and makes me realise how much I miss England. Great show as always, guys.
So I replied to that. I said, God, that's a long way for a naan bread.
2.5 hours for curry. I mean,
I like a curry,
yeah,
but
I
not that
do.
much.
But that's.
I get it.
That's,
when I mentioned this road trip we did in a few episodes ago, and it was when you set the sat nav, you go, oh, it's only 3 hours and 50 to get to tea. Mm-hmm. And we sort of got used to that.
Yeah.
Whereas here, we can walk down the road and there is an shop with an food to buy,
Right, final one is from Gareth. We hadn't heard from Gareth for a little bit, which is nice. Great podcast, guys. I enjoy the fretboard lesson. I do know it, but it's good to brush up. It's always good to brush up.
100%.
It's even something I still practice.
So your week 1 of the August practice challenge, something I've been using is that across spider thing.
Yeah, moving up the frets.
Yeah, really useful.
Absolutely. And just to add to Gareth's comment, it's good to brush up. If the Spanish person is the furthest person away from the pie hall, who's the closest? Let me know in the comments who's the closest person to Denby Dale that's coming to see us for the podcast on the 8th of November.
Yeah, that would be good.
I'd be really interested to know. So what have we talked about today, George?
Barre chords, that's the aim of the game today. That's what we've done. Your E and A shapes. We've answered David's question for Pick Our Brains. We want Pick Our Brains to come back. Leave a comment down below in the YouTube. That's where we see it. The Facebook group is very, very busy.
Yeah.
So let us know in the YouTube. And if you don't want to comment, come and see us on the 8th of November and say we're going to have hopefully a microphone and take some live questions when we see you then.
Excellent. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, guys, please do. It helps us more than you realise at all. It is really, really, really important that we get pushed out to more people and more people figure out how more people watch the show. So let's play them out, George. We're going to play in the key of F. Are you going to play the rhythm first or the lead?
I'll play the rhythm first, I think.
Okay.
And then can I take the chords at the end?
Yes.
Thank you very much.